Welcome to Growth Hack by Poppy Digital. Tips and tricks to master the algorithms from industry insiders. Now here's your host, Julian Espinoza.
Welcome back to Growth Hack, where we break down marketing channels like Google, Facebook, Instagram, and show them how to make them work for you. If you run ads on Facebook or Instagram, today's episode is a must listen. If you've been reading the headlines, Apple has assaulted Facebook in the name of privacy. Apple claims that Facebook collects too much data and is intruding on consumer privacy. Here's an example that everyone can relate to. You're on a website and you're shopping for a pair of shoes. You decide in that moment not to buy those shoes and leave the website. Sometime later, you're on Facebook and you see an ad for those exact same shoes you're reviewing. That concept is one of the issues Apple has a problem with. That kind of ad is called a remarketing ad, and not being able to run those is a shock to the advertising world. If you want to learn on workarounds and how to navigate this path, listen all the way through to this episode. To talk to us about this update, we brought in Tara Zerker, the founder of Successful Ads Club. Tara is an advertising expert who has taught thousands of business owners to rapidly scale through the power of Facebook and Instagram ads. Welcome, Tara.
Hi, good to be here.
Let's get right into it. What is the iOS 14 update and what did it do?
What Apple did was they said, to everyone who updated to iOS 14 and beyond, there's now when you download or update your apps, there's a little pop-up screen that pops up and it says, hey, do you want to be tracked around the web from this company? And if you say no, then they basically opt that person out of data. So in other words, you have to literally opt in to being tracked. Now, most people, in fact, it's over 80% that are saying, what? No way. Like, I don't want anything to do with this. So most people are saying, absolutely not. Facebook is not able to track or report conversions based on your activity on Facebook or Instagram. So if you're running ads, you're an advertiser, or maybe you hire an ads manager, you might have an ads manager in, a team that handles this, then they're not going to be able to see those conversions. Are the conversions still happening? Yes, they're just not being reported. And therefore, conversion costs are going to be wildly inaccurate. Now, I'm going to caveat that with a few things. Number one, this is iOS. So in the US, iOS is a huge, huge part of all mobile activity, right? We know that. If you're talking, if you're really doing heavy marketing in the US, this is going to impact you because half of your user base is likely accessing Facebook and Instagram from their iPhones or, iPads, et cetera, et cetera. Honestly, I have quite a few clients and students who right now they're reporting like, I'm not seeing a lot of changes. And Julian, I think you're experiencing the same thing, right? Where the impact isn't as dramatic as you expected, maybe right up front.
Right. Absolutely. Right away. We work on a lot of top level campaigns, top funnel stuff. So our campaigns haven't really been affected by top funnel. It's really the bottom funnel ones. But I do have a client that we do some full funnel, mid and bottom funnel. And we are seeing that there isn't the attribution isn't there, that sales are happening where like normally we'd have maybe 30 to 50. I saw one. How are we circumnavigating? How have you seen to circumnavigate attribution and also marketing to deeper funnel content?
Absolutely. Okay, so there's a few steps that Facebook is encouraging us all to do. Number one is verifying your domains. That's becoming mandatory pretty much at this point. So at first, people were kind of freaking out, like it seemed like a huge cumbersome task, and really it's just a few clicks. You have to put a little bit of code on your website. You can do it in a number of ways. So you can pop this code into the header on your website or on each page that you want. Or you can grab a little piece of code, pop it into your DNS record. So this is like, wherever you do your web hosting, we do a lot of Google domains. So you just literally go to Google domains, open your DNS record, pop in literally like a little string of numbers, and it will populate all through your website. Super easy to do. Whenever there's a new thing like this, this is like a 20 to 30 minute chore that you have to do to continue to advertise pretty effectively on Facebook. I mean, again, you're still going to have attribution things like Facebook will be able to tell there was a sale, but they are not allowed to report it, right? So all of this data basically just got like a curtain pulled in front of it, and you just can't see the data. But the data is like, things are still happening, things are still coming in. So because of this 20 to 30-minute chore of verifying your domains, so many people will not do it. So many people will back off of advertising, if not forever, at least a few months. And if you'll just commit to do this little tiny teensy chore and continue advertising, you're going to get like, this is a great opportunity and moment to leapfrog over your competition. I really feel that. A lot of people are having major success with the conversion API. So this is where you can, toggle a few settings on, add a little bit of code, and it's basically going to tell your servers, it's going to capture the data in a different way so that it turns, instead of third-party data, it's going to turn into first-party data. And lots of people are having huge success with that. So, that's a huge opportunity too.
Have you guys seen any success off of optimizing off clicks and stuff like that?
Oh, that's like a loaded question because I have like all this strategy comes into my brain, right? But
Sure.
Okay, so off of clicks, it depends on what I always say. Website traffic to me is one of those campaign objectives that can be wildly effective with certain things. When it comes to capturing things like purchases and emails, I still feel like conversion ads are the golden standard, even though, and even with Facebook not being able to accurately show you all the data necessarily, right? That we might otherwise be used to, I still feel like it's the golden ticket. But it used to be, and all these members that have come to us, have said things like, I had a six-figure, or multi-six-figure business, like very niche business from boosting posts. I would literally just boost, posts for $50, and I'd have all these customers come to me. And there's a reason, over time, that was kind of the initial world of advertising was, well, just boost the post and everything works beautifully.
Conversions didn't exist yet.
Conversions didn't exist. And what happened was we were all basically in the same bucket on Facebook. And now Facebook, how I always say it, is they have us in these various buckets, right? So they know, Julian, what time you're going to wake up tomorrow and log on to Facebook and how many posts you're going to look at. And if you're likely to click on different ads, they know what kind of ads you're likely to click on. Are you the kind of guy that clicks on a boosted post and likes the post, maybe adds a little comment, but never leaves Facebook? Well, you're going to keep getting boosted posts. Or are you the kind of guy that maybe you absolutely click on traffic ads and you go listen to podcasts and you go listen, read blog posts and things like that. And that's how you convert best. So they have us so bucketed or categorized at this point. They know our behavior. They know what kind of ads we click on. And they're obviously going to save our newsfeed for the type of ads that we're most likely to convert off of, right? They obviously want to make their advertisers happy. So boosted posts used to create tons of conversions. It used to create tons of purchases. And that's not the case anymore. Now you have to have this whole strategy if you want those types of conversions. If they start kind of loosening the algorithm and making it so, boosted posts work a little better and, organic posts for businesses work a little better, I would not be surprised if we see that these things that haven't been as effective for things like conversions, if all of a sudden they're really effective again.
What is the direction? I've got some opinions, but I'd love to hear from your perspective. What's the future of this?
I think that we can create our own future on this by, number one, creating this competitive advantage, doing this 30 to 40-minute chore, getting your domains verified, going through the process that Facebook needs us to go through in order to continue advertising as effectively as possible. Number two, if you have a bigger budget and not being able to see your data is a huge issue to you, then you need to, just Google, some of these solutions, figure out one of these that you like and go all in on it. They're not that expensive. They're not that expensive, but they're not that cheap either. If you're kind of a beginner advertiser or have a lower budget, it is not probably worth it from the get-go for you. But once you get up into the multi-thousands of dollars each month, I think one of these tools would probably be a good investment. So there's tools that will help us still continue to see data, which is amazing. And then number three, kind of to what I was saying, I really do believe that we're going to see, at least for a period of time, and if you are, a savvy marketer or business owner, you're going to be watching for these things starting to loosen up. I think they're going to loosen up the ads algorithm. I think they're going to loosen up the organic algorithm. It would not surprise me if we start seeing, regular posts on your Facebook page starting to have more reach, more engagement, whatever they can do to make us happy is what they're going to do.
The really interesting thing is where Facebook went with advertising. Hey, I'm going to buy so much data in the world, right? Because that's when I'm going to buy all this data and we're going to associate that data to Facebook accounts, which would create a universe where we know so much about our users that our advertisers can do really, really well because they can target it and niche down and even create ads specific to certain target groups, right? Because if you think about what was before commercials, you really couldn't show like different ads to different people. It's like you kind of ran a commercial and different people and all the people saw one ad, right? What I've seen TikTok do that I think Facebook's now going to have to play catch up is how smart their algorithm is based on the data they have. So when you sign up for a TikTok account, you don't tell them who you are. You don't tell them if you're a male or female. You don't tell them your age group. You don't tell them what hobbies you're interested in. You don't really tell them a single thing. And that algorithm is so absolutely intelligent that creates your feed and it keeps you on their app for a while. So I think what TikTok has done is sort of leading the way on in terms of algorithms. And I think that's what we're going to have to see. And by the way, I think Facebook was on it. About 2 years ago, I was using detailed targeting in Facebook, like certain attributes and certain things. At this point now, I was really using lookalikes and so on and so forth. So Facebook algorithms started outperforming me about 2 years ago. And I think as long as they continue that path, I think they'll find success on it. Now, something random that this is going to kind of like, this is really wild. And this is like really like kind of like that Nostradamus like projection. I saw in April, Facebook announced that they're putting podcasts on Facebook. So now you can listen. So basically they're a podcast player. You can actually listen to that. So think about that, right? Think about that product that they're adding in their app. So they're adding that in simply for time spent on app. That's going to increase time spent on app. Now, think about the next thing that they're going to add from a feature standpoint. Instead of boost a post, boost an episode.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Right? It's going to be so important for every business to have a podcast because of discovery, right? Like you're going to be able to discover, a brand because you're listening to an interesting show, right? And so now brand discovery is going to be huge on it already is big on podcasting, but even bigger that now Facebook's bringing that into their app. One last thing, I want to share that tip, but that tip comes from somewhere, and I learned a really special tip from you. Not a lot of people know about it. Can you talk to us about this club that you have?
Yeah, thank you so much, Julian. Well, absolutely. So basically, I have a membership called Successful Ads Club. We teach hundreds of members at any given moment how to run their own ads. So we have daily live calls. We have so people can go in and troubleshoot. So the problem with ads, and you know this, Julian, is when something goes wrong, you can't really predict it and you really need help right away. So we have daily support calls, and you can book one-on-ones with our coaches and all these, great perks. So you can go to youradkit.com and pick that up. But yeah, that's a great place to kind of check us out. And of course, the ad kit is free, so you can see if that helps your ads.
You don't need to be a huge advertiser, right? And you don't have to be spending hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. You could be spending under $5,000 a month, and you can't necessarily afford an agency to do all this stuff for you, but you can do some of it, but you just need a little bit of assistance. Like you need like Facebook help, but like on steroids, right? You want them to say the things that they can't say. And so I feel like that's really unique about your club is you've made Facebook help accessible to the small business. What do you, I mean, is that, I mean, that's how I feel. So let's share the tip that I learned from your club, which is the broad. So talk to us about that.
Yeah. And just exactly to what you were saying, at some point in the last probably 24 months, 36 months, a lot of advanced advertisers started discovering, and I learned this trick at a Facebook workshop. The algorithm is just getting smarter than all of us. You put all the smartest advertisers in a room, put all their brain power together, and you're still not going to beat that algorithm because it knows so many data points that we can't even begin to guess on the things that it's collected. They started recommending to just make your audience, especially if you're e-com or anything consumer oriented, this works extraordinarily well. And even B2B too, we do it as well. Just no targeting at all. You don't even have to put gender. You can, if you want, play with gender and age, but you don't even have to do that. I do recommend deciding like one country. So I like to still, base this on one country, although some people group countries together now too, but then no targeting, no interests, no lookalikes, no nothing. You just leave it blank and let the algorithm go to town. So here's a few things about that strategy. Number one, I do feel like it typically takes a little bit more budget and time. So you don't want to, throw the baby out with the bathwater when it's only spent $60 or $100. I always let it go for at least a couple $100. And if I've got budget to work with, depending on what account I'm working on, I'm going to let it go maybe even a few $100s and just start to watch it and see, because as it picks up data and it says, oh, okay, we got a conversion from this type of person, let's study and see what are the characteristics of this type of person. They're going to go find more people that look like that person. That can reduce your workload by a lot when you're not having to sit there and brainstorm audiences, and you can focus more on the messaging and the creative parts of your ad. That can free up a ton of time. So that's a huge tip. Go try it, spend $200 or $300 on it, see if it works better for you, and report back to us. I bet we'd both love to hear.
So I'm watching clicks, and I'm watching when the clicks stabilize. I'm seeing after 7 to 14 days, the clicks will stabilize. I've spent on my first one, I spent about $2,000 to identify that. I might be able to spend less than that to identify that, but I saw about the 2-week mark is about when the clicks stabilized. And then the idea now is, and if you're not a believer of this, that's okay, because I'm not a believer of anything until you have to try it for your circumstance, right? So you try it, and then you run it against your lookalike, you run it against your detailed targeting, you run it against however you were doing it before. And once you do that, you have the two data sets, and then you can compare and contrast, what's outperforming, what's working better. All right, Tara. Well, thank you for coming on the show. We'll probably have you back again sometime soon.
So good to see you, Julian. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.